we are at Langaller Farm in Somerset, just on the edge of the Exmoor National Park. And it's quite a different feel compared to when I was here in November. We're here in mid-March. The weather over the winter time has certainly had its toll on the Miscanthus. All the fluffy seed heads have been blown off, whereas on my left-hand side, we've got the woodland copse where there's lots of bird song, blackbird, wren, robin, chaffinch. But mid-March is a bit of a funny period because you've kind of got your resident birds that are here setting up territory for the spring. Some of them, like song thrush and blackbird, may even already be on nests, as well as robins. And some of our migrant birds, like meadow pipits and redwings, they're all starting to make their way back to their breeding grounds further north, either in Britain or in Scandinavia. So over the next couple of days, it's going to be very interesting to see what birds we pick up. So we've been walking around the different fields of Miscanthus now for over an hour, and I've got to admit, actually, it's been very, very quiet. What's lovely, though, around this particular farm is that there's ancient hedgerows, and they form a really good corridor for wildlife. Although the fields of Miscanthus themselves at this particular stage may not be so good for wildlife, in particular birds, the mosaic environment and this network of ancient hedgerows here is providing a habitat for presumably invertebrates and also the bird life that then relies on it. So we're going to come back tomorrow morning, and I'm quite optimistic that we should hear a little bit more bird song. Birds tend to sing first thing in the morning and in March time, certainly throughout the morning. So let's see what happens. So one thing that can never be underestimated at this time of the year is the fact that in the countryside, just like we have along this kind of hedge line along here, we've got sallow. They're a very important tree for early emerging pollinators such as hoverflies, bumblebees, honeybees, and solitary bees. But birds also use them as well. Just now I was watching a blue tit, and actually the blue tits along with the insects also can play a role in pollination, because the blue tits end up with a face of pollen which kind of sticks to their feathers, and when they go to other flowers and other trees, of course some of that pollen will get transferred across to the female flowers and help with pollination of those flowers and hence the production of seeds.
So we've toured the Miscanthus both in the evening and in the morning. What's your viewpoint?
Well, my viewpoint certainly here in middle of March is that it's pretty desolate for bird life, really. But the Miscanthus itself, I mean, there's definitely things like robins and wrens and things like dunnock, song thrush, blackbird, chaffinch going in and out of the edge. But once this gets cut in April and we start to get the new growth in the springtime, then seeing how birds in the hedgerows might be using it.
Well, we'll be over in the willow this afternoon, and then we'll report back, and of course coming back in June and seeing what we see then.
Well, we're back in the willow plantation now in Devon, and already it's looking quite spring-like here, which is fantastic. There's already some nice birds too, long-tailed tit, and just above us here we've had a chiffchaff, and chiffchaffs are just starting to arrive here now from wintering in the Mediterranean. They'll be feeding a little bit on sort of the nectar and maybe pollen that's on these catkins here on the willow, but also all around me there's lots of tiny little insects flying around, and on the catkins themselves there are also insects going in to feed on the nectar as well. And so birds like the chiffchaffs and the long-tailed tits, which are insectivores, will also be feeding on those little insects.
So we've just been counting the number of banded snails in this endurance willow. This willow has got some European heritage and some Chinese, and I've always kind of thought of it as a lesser biodiverse one, but to see 20 snails on just one individual, what do you think is happening, and why do you think they're there?
Well, I think in this willow plantation we're seeing lots of snails because, one, there aren't any kind of pesticides around here to kill them, which is a good thing. But two, there's probably lots of food here in these willow trees for the snails. So they're going to be feeding on lichens, mosses, they're going to be feeding on the catkins themselves. And they're sheltering in these trees, I suspect, because actually by being up high, they're out of reach of one songbird that we do get here in this willow plantation, which is the song thrush. And actually coming to a willow plantation like this and seeing all these snails is a good sign, because it means hopefully there's lots of food for the song thrush. Bit of sunshine coming out now.
Yeah, nice.
You know, there's the old bumblebee flying around, there's small insects flying around. And, you know, willow plantation like this do provide important early food for insects and birds.
It's been raining the last couple of days, but you enjoyed yourself, Ed?
Yes.
Have you seen some nice things?
Yeah,
What's your overall view?
It's been really positive. It's great to see lots of insects. It's great to see lots of snails. It's great to see lots of bumblebees. So it's certainly looking promising, this plantation, for the spring.
I must admit myself, I'm so excited, never been so excited to see so many snails. And also the blue tits and the chiff-chaffs feeding on the nectar in the willow. That's just a real thrill.
Yeah, I think what's been really nice is the fact that we've actively seen long-tailed tits, chiff-chaff, blue tits, reed bunting as well. So feeding on the insects, feeding on the food that the catkins are providing for them, and we're seeing that in action today. Even on a rainy day like today, we're seeing it in action.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, so we'll be back here in June, and we'll feed back on more when we see it. See you next time.